ever since Benedict Anderson published his Imagined Communities in the 80s, scholars have realized that print and print culture and print capitalism played an incredibly important role in modern times in developing a sense of nationalism or a national consciousness among a population within a certain area. In the case of Southeast Asia, this is really evident in the 20th century because across the region in certainly the 1920s and 1930s, there was an explosion of print culture as all kinds of magazines and newspapers and journals started to be published in both colonial and indigenous languages. And this has proved to be fertile ground for people who want to study how print culture in that time period affected consciousness and ideas. A lot of work has already been done to date, but in more recent years, this has taken a turn into not only print and ideas, but print and things like fashion and gender. A few years ago, scholar Chie Ikeda wrote a book entitled Refiguring Women, and it was about print culture and fashion and gender in colonial Burma. And it is a fantastic book. It really sets the standard, I think, for examining these issues and through print culture and its importance in the 1920s and 30s. I've assigned that book in the past in the seminar, but this time around I decided to assign a article that Chie Ikeda wrote and to assign works that other people have written on similar topics relating to print, fashion, and gender. And taken together, while there's no equivalent to the kind of complete study that Chie Ikeda did for Burma in other places, other people have worked on these individual topics, and when you take them together, you can start to see a picture for the region in general, where you can see that these same issues played out in all these different societies. Why women, or why look at gender in this time period? Well, among other things, this is the time period where you have this global phenomena, the new woman who appears and gets debated and talked about, in many cases, not by women, but by men who are sort of anxious about the emergence of certain type of women who are engaging in acts that counter traditional gender roles. And that is a fascinating topic, not only for Southeast Asia, but because it can link it to global conversations about this same phenomenon. And in terms of gender, while a lot has already been written about that for Southeast Asia and other places, the new trend that some people are going in, and which Chie Ikeda really promoted in her book, is to look at masculinity and to look at how that has been defined in this time period or transformed in this period, and in how it has been challenged or threatened. And in Chie Ikeda's work, for instance, the really fascinating thing that I found that she wrote or discovered was this strong sense by the 1930s among Burmese men of a sense of emasculation, where the influx of Indian migrants and the fact that the land was colonized by the British all kind of sort of wore away at a Burmese sense of masculinity, and it kind of brought about this sense of emasculation, which then has played out in complex ways basically ever since then. So this time period is really fascinating. Print and the many things that we can look at it, in this case, gender, fashion, and how that relates to larger issues are all interesting, but there's so much more that's there because so much stuff was written, and it's still a topic that I think there's a much more that we can discover there. Really, really good topic.